chapter 21 is called Reason and Perception. The New CE version calls it Desiring a Sinless World. Introduction. Projection makes perception. The world you see is what you gave it, nothing more than that. So let's just talk about projection and perception for a minute. Projection makes perception. In other words, when we decided we wanted to throw away knowledge and move into something else, then we had to deny what knowledge is, which is knowing, which is being. There's no in and out in that. It is only what it is. That's why you need do nothing. You don't need to do any kind of mental gymnastics to be. You just are. When you create in heaven, you're not thinking, what will I do today? Who will I create today? No, you just are as you are. And you are in a state of joy and thankfulness and communion and communication. And out of that comes creation. It's an automatic. It's part of the being. It's part of what you are. All these separate things we're talking about. Desire, purpose, function, meaning, understanding. It all just is. There are no separate concepts involved in true life, in knowledge. But we did a thing we call perception. It's a mental gymnastic. The idea that I'm trying to operate in an illusion, I'm trying to operate in that which could never be, and I have to convince myself that it is. So therefore, I project. I send out messengers. Messengers to do what? What message do they hold? The message of my desire to be that which I am not. What is the form of it? It's legion. It can be anything. It's whatever you decide, however you want it to be, but it has a content of the message. It's really contentless because it's an illusion, but it has a message. The message is sent out. Now, I sit as a judge and I look out. So now I'm looking outside myself when there can be no such thing of an idea of something outside yourself, because thoughts never leave source. Thoughts never leave the mind that thinks it. It's always held within. Creation is always held within. So now I get to perceive. I get to see outside myself, and we utilize a body in order to do that. And now I see. Don't you see this killing that just happened in Florida? These kids just got killed and mowed down. Don't you see this? Now I get to decide. What am I going to do with that? What message comes back to me from that which I projected? The exact same message I projected. Whatever it is. But I think that this is happening without my responsibility. Certainly this isn't happening because of me. But yes, it is. It is happening exactly because of you. Projection makes perception. The world you see is what you gave it, nothing more than that. What you gave it. This is your world. This is my world. Because I have decided that I'm different from you. I'm decided I can have different thoughts. I can have secret thoughts. I can have secret vows. I can have secret messages that I send myself. The kid that went in there and shot the place up, he had different messages being sent out. Did he see things the same way that his schoolmates did? No, he saw them differently. Well, they all see them differently because it's all based on your desire. Therefore, to you it is important. It is the witness to your state of mind, the outside picture of an inward condition. As a man thinketh, so does he perceive. Therefore, seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. See, all of this furor over, do we have gun control? Should we sell AR-15? All of this stuff. This is not for you. This is not about changing the world. This is about changing your mind to recognize what is cause and effect. This is a course in cause and effect. Cause is a choice in your mind to project outside your mind and then perceive. That's the whole deal. It doesn't matter what you project and what you perceive. It matters that you want to play that mind game. So as long as you're playing the mind game, the Holy Spirit says, I will help you to stop projecting, to perceive correctly until you don't want perception anymore. And it no longer becomes a hindrance to knowledge which you never left. Perception is a result and not a cause. In other words, it's an effect, it's a consequence. And that is why order of difficulty in miracles is meaningless. Everything looked upon with vision is healed and holy. Nothing perceived without it means anything. And where there is no meaning, there is chaos. The mind must have meaning because it can't stand a state of chaos very long. That kid went in at school and shouted up because he thought that would bring meaning to his life, to his existence, to stop the chaos. The chaos is where? In his mind. So if I'll just act on this, if I'll just do this, I'll stop thinking about it because it's done. It's over. In time, it seems to be done. Got to do it. Driven. So your perception changes. How? Through vision. Because with vision, everything is looked upon as healed and holy. Why? Because that's what I've decided to have. So therefore, my projection is a shared projection. It's no longer an individual world, but it is something that has been given to us by the Holy Spirit, called the real world, called the happy dream. And I accept what He wants, what He is giving. I receive and accept it. It has meaning. The real world is a meaningful world. It is a shared world. It is a meaningful world. And there's no chaos. Damnation is your judgment on yourself. And this you will project upon the world. See it as damned, and all you see is what you did to hurt the Son of God. If you behold disaster and catastrophe, you tried to crucify Him. Didn't say you crucified Him, because that's impossible, but you're trying to. You believe you did. You believe you're trying. And all this is damnation and judgment on yourself. This is thorns given and received, rather than lilies that we spoke of before. And it's this damned world. Why do you have a damned world? Because you damned it. You tried to crucify the Son. If you see holiness and hope, you joined the will of God to set Him free. There is no choice that lies between these two decisions, and you will see the witness to the choice you made, and learn from this to recognize which one you chose. So here is the looking. You must look at this. Remember this, projection makes perception. To look means to perceive. If I'm perceiving it and I've taken responsibility for the projection, if I've taken responsibility for the message, then I've taken responsibility for the decision to send out the messengers. And therefore, if I'm sending out messengers of love, then I will see the witnesses to the choice I made and nothing else. Not my choice. Chaos, confusion, pain, hurt, sickness, death. Not my choice. I used to choose that. I don't choose that anymore. So therefore, they're not my messengers coming back. I'm not receiving them. I didn't send them. I'm not receiving them. The world you see but shows you how much joy you have allowed yourself to see in you and to accept as yours. And if this is its meaning, then the power to give it joy must lie within you. You have the power to give joy to the world. All power in heaven and earth has been given to you. And you can give joy because you have the power to give joy. You have the power to give peace. You have the power to give love through vision. When you do, you will be at a state of peace because the mind is operating in its true desire, or a reflection of it, has purpose, has one purpose, one function, which has meaning and understanding, is no longer meaningless, and you're lost in chaos and confusion. This is up to you. It's up to me. This world has been given to us. The real world, the happy dream, has been given. You cannot accept it. You cannot see it and then receive it and accept it if you have not looked and determined that I'm the dreamer of the dream. I'm the dreamer of the dream. I'm the projector of the projection. I'm the perceiver of that which I projected, and I don't like what I see. I've not done a good job with it. I don't like its results or supposed spurious effects. Therefore, I want to exchange this, and I don't know what I'm doing. So I want the Holy Spirit. I'll accept what He's giving. Well, you can't accept it. This is an exchange. You're going to have to give up that which you've been doing and exchange it. Section 1, the Forgotten Song. In the original edition, this is called the Imagined World. Never forget the world. The sightless, quote, see must be imagined, for what it really looks like is unknown to them. They must infer what could be seen from evidence forever indirect and reconstruct their inferences as they stumble and fall because of what they did not recognize or walk unharmed through open doorways that they thought were closed. And so it is with you. You do not see. In other words, you ever see a blind man? Do you ever wonder how they learn to walk with that stick? I'm talking about in train stations and everywhere. Walking just as fast as can be. How did they learn to do that? They learned by beating themselves up, running into this, running into that, till they built their senses to a point where they could operate in darkness, total darkness. This is a world that the sightless see. It must be an imagined world. We thought we were running into obstacles. No, you can't do that. No, you got to operate under these laws of the world. You can't forgive. You can't see a forgiven world. Don't you see what's going on out here? Are you crazy? Why? It's an imagined world. They kept bouncing. We kept bouncing from wall to wall, from pain to pain, until we learned to stumble along enough to, quote, walk unharmed, to find this balance of peace and stability in something that doesn't even exist. You do not see. Your cues for inference are wrong, and so you stumble and fall down upon the stones you did not recognize but failed to be aware. You can go through the doors you thought were closed, but which stand open before unseeing eyes waiting to welcome you. In other words, you've adjusted to the darkness. You can't see the open doors anymore. How foolish is it to attempt to judge what could be seen instead? It is not necessary to imagine what the world must look like. It must be seen before you recognize it for what it is. You can be shown which doors are open, and you can see where safety lies, and which way leads to darkness, which to light. Judgment will always give you false directions, but vision shows you where to go. Why should you guess? See, the answer has always been here. The answer was given when the thought was thought. It was immediately corrected. The real world was given to us. But we can't see the real world. Why can't we see the real world? Because we don't want to see it. Because we've taught ourselves these laws of limitation. So now the Holy Spirit will give us vision to see this other world. It's always been there. Quit guessing. Go to a place of surety. There's no need to learn through pain, and gentle lessons are acquired joyously and are remembered gladly. What gives you happiness you want to learn and not forget. It is not this you would deny. Your question is whether the means by which this course is learned will bring to you the joy it promises. If you believed it would, the learning of it would be no problem. This idea of learning this course, been in course groups now long enough to see that I do not see a lot of growth. I do not see a lot of learning. I see a lot of reading. I see a lot of talking. I don't really see the learning. Have you learned this course? Well, the only reason someone doesn't learn this course is because they're not convinced that the reward of joy and peace is the end. They're utilizing a means, but they don't trust the end. Therefore, they will not truly utilize the means and learn the means and then release the means. It's not about this course. It's about the end. It's about salvation. If you believed it would, in other words, if you believed it would bring you joy, the learning of it would be no problem. You are not a happy learner yet because you still remain uncertain that vision gives you more than judgment does, and you have learned that both you cannot have. We know, we've come to a place of maturity that you can't be in two different thought systems at the same time. You're tired of the dissociation, but you don't believe in the reality of salvation. So you hold on to your projection and your perception and your judgment. The blind become accustomed to their world by their adjustments to it. They think they know their way about in it. They learned it not through joyous lessons, but through the stern necessity of limits they believed they could not overcome. And still believing this, they hold those lessons dear and cling to them because they cannot see. Blind. But now I'm good with this stick. Man, I can move. I can get around. Don't bug me. I don't need no light. Let me just stumble around here. I'm doing pretty good. They do not understand the lessons keep them blind. This they do not believe, and so they keep the world they learn to, quote, see in their imagination, believing that their choice is that or nothing. They hate the world they learn through pain, and everything they think is in it serves to remind them that they are incomplete and bitterly deprived. Incomplete and bitterly deprived. Does that sound like joy and peace to you? No, it does not. And everything is going to witness to that until it doesn't, because you've got to be in the light with the vision of the Holy Spirit to see this other world. Otherwise, you're going to cling to and you're going to continue to learn dark lessons instead of lessons of light. Thus, they define their life and where they live, adjusting to it as they think they must, afraid to lose the little that they have. See, this idea of giving up this comfort in hell, this comfortable sickness, they don't have vision. So all they see is, if I lose this, if I lose my pain, if I lose my suffering, if I lose my guilt, if I lose my idea of sin and punishment and judgment, then I won't exist. I'll be in oblivion. I'd rather have hell than oblivion, but one thing I do not want is heaven, and I do not want this real world, because I just don't trust it. I'm not buying it. I try to teach this real world to people. I see people roll their eyes as if I'm crazy. Why? I can't listen to you. I can't buy into this world. I want to because I recognize I'm in hell, but gosh, I'd rather hold on to hell. I'll just stay blind, because really, you're in la-la land there with that real world stuff. And if I give this thing up, man, I just won't exist. I'll cease to exist. I'll be in oblivion. So thus they define their life where they live, adjusting to it as they think they must, afraid to lose the little that they have. And so it is with all who see the body as all they have and all their brothers have. They try to reach each other, and they fail and fail again. And they adjust to loneliness, believing that to keep the body is to save the little that they have. Listen and try to think if you remember what we will speak of now. So he's going to try to remember the real world, which we've already seen. So what have we been doing in special relationships? Bodies trying to join with other bodies, only to find that they fail. Bodies cannot commune. They cannot join. Minds are joined. So these special relationships fail, and we adjust to the loneliness. But we want to hold on to the idea of this body. So there we are, sitting in our bedrooms all alone, got the TV on, watching whatever, eating Captain Crunch, but lonely. It has nothing to do with what you're watching or what you're eating. It has to do with the frame of mind. Are you in loneliness, or are you in the wonderful communication and communion of the real world mentality and watching Netflix and eating Captain Crunch at the same time, because you recognize that's meaningless. That's neither here nor there. So he's saying now, listen and try to think if you remember what we'll speak of now. Try to remember this, because you know this. You've seen this. But you've forgotten. Listen. Perhaps you catch a hint of an ancient state not quite forgotten. Dim, perhaps, and yet not altogether unfamiliar. Like a song whose name is long forgotten and the circumstances in which you heard completely unremembered. This thing about the Song of the Sun, I've been covering in the prayer pamphlet at the beginning of it. Remember that show, Name That Tune? You get a few hints, and I'll just play one note, and you can answer that question just from the one note. You ever remember a song that you hadn't heard in 40 years? It comes on. You haven't thought about this song in 40 years. Because it might have been number 41, but you heard it and you liked it. And it immediately, that first few notes start playing. And you immediately remember all the lyrics. You remember who was with you in a specific setting. You remember in vivid detail based on that song. Well, communion is a song. Life is a song. Even the real world is a song. And so it's not completely unremembered. Not the whole song has stayed with you, but just a little wisp of melody attached not to a person or place or anything particular, but you remember from just this little part how lovely was the song, how wonderful the setting where you heard it, and how you loved those who were there and listened with you. See, there is something about music. Music does assist in communication and communion. because it's something we have severed off and separated out as music, but actually it's part of the whole. The notes are nothing, yet you have kept them with you not for themselves, but as a soft reminder of what would make you weep if you remembered how dear it was to you. You could remember, yet you are afraid, believing you would lose the world you learned since then. And yet you know that nothing in the world you learned is half so dear as this. Listen and see if you remember an ancient song you knew so long ago and held more dear than any melody you taught yourself to cherish since. And so, this remembering of a state of mind based on a little few notes, that's all you need to get, is be open to remember, to listen, and it'll take you back and you'll remember. You have to go to the beginning, because remember, time is the idea of beginnings and endings. So we have to go back beyond the body, beyond the sun and stars, past everything you see and yet somehow familiar, is an arc of golden light that stretches as you look into a great and shining circle. This is important. Think about this. Forget the stars and the bodies and this universe, and think of an arc of golden light that's stretching. It's getting bigger. It's shining. It is light. And all the circle fills with light before your eyes. The edges of the circle disappear, and what is in it is no longer contained at all. The light expands and covers everything, extending to infinity, forever shining and with no break or limit anywhere. Are you seeing this? Have you seen the golden circle? To think of a circle is a limitation. But now he's saying, let the circle stretch until it reaches infinity. It extends to infinity. Therefore, there's no outside. There's no such thing as outside. There's no break. There's no limit anywhere. Only the golden shining light. Within it, everything is joined in perfect continuity. Nor is it possible to imagine that anything could be outside, for there is nowhere that this light is not. Have you seen it? Are you seeing it with me now? This is the vision of the Son of God, whom you know well. Here is the sight of him who knows his Father. Here is the memory of what you are, a part of this, with all of it within, and joined to all, as surely as all is joined in you. There is the answer to, is there one son or many sons, and your identity all in one little sentence, if that's one sentence. Let me go back and read it. Here is the memory of what you are. Okay, you want to know what you are? You're a part of this. What? The golden circle of light. With all of it within. With all of it within. In other words, this is within you. So you're not looking out at something. This is you. This is within. And joined to all as surely as all is joined in you. I'm joined to all within this golden circle, within this golden light, just as all is joined to me. That is what you are. And remember, creation is always continuing. So the golden circle of light goes to infinity. It goes forever and ever, for always and forever. And this is all within you and you within it. That's it. Now tell me what can be outside of that. Nothing. You are in total communication and communion with all that is. This is the true universe. Accept the vision that can show you this and not the body. So why did we make the body? Why did we put ourselves, believe that we're a little mind, a little separated, lonely mind, trapped in a separated and fenced off body? To keep from seeing the reality of what we really are in that golden light. That's why we made the body. That's why we project it. That's why we perceive it. That's why we project other bodies, to convince ourselves that we too are lonely and separate and have the ability to deny access and have the judgment and valuation to let whoever we think we should let in for as much little time as we want them to be in, and then we can push them back out. Doors, barriers, not openness and oneness. You know the ancient psalm and know it well. Nothing will ever be as dear to you as is this ancient hymn of love the Son of God sings to his Father still. So he comes back to the song. He gave us a visual. He started this by saying, listen. So he's saying, listen to the song. So here's Jesus giving us, what do they call them? Rock videos. In other words, I'm going to sing a song, but I'm going to give you a visual along with it. MTV coming in 1967, 10, 12 years before it showed up. Jesus is saying, here's how you do it. You remember the song by seeing the visual. And now the blind can see, for that same song they sing in honor of their Creator gives praise to them as well. The blindness that they made will not withstand the memory of this song. And they will look upon the vision of the Son of God, remembering who He is they sing of. What is a miracle but this remembering? Okay, what is a miracle but this remembering? That's all a miracle is the remembering of the reality of your identity in the sonship, in the universe of heaven. You are all that is, because there is no separation in this golden light. The light in one awakens it in all. And when you see it in your brother, you are remembering for everyone. Miracles are the memory of the light. Miracles are the memory of the song. And if you remember the song, it's a total song, so you remember it for everyone. So we start looking at bodies. Then we say, this is not a body. I'm not a body. I am free. I am still as God created me. Therefore, you must be the same as me, my brother. So I now want to see the great ray that you are. Maybe I'll start seeing just as a little flicker of a candlelight of a ray. But at some point, I will see you as a great ray. And then the miracle will take me to the total memory that we are this blinding golden light. Blinding to those who are in darkness, but not to those who are in the light itself. To stop getting blinded by the light and recognize you are the light. You are the song. You are the miracle.